Hey everyone, RHOBH Chronicles of the Gray Hair Diva. If this is your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. For all of you out there, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. Hit the like button, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. And share my video with your friends and family so that they can come to my channel and get to know me also. I'm here today with my recap on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episode 2. Now, for some reason, I feel like they're about to drag this robbery out that happened at Dorit and PK's home into the last episode. I'm over it. I kind of was over it before the season started, but I get it. It's a part of their life. It happened, so they talked about it episode 1. But I think the more they have diarrhea of the mouth with this particular robbery, I think the more that they're going to sink themselves and maybe get themselves in a little bit of hot water. And why am I saying that? This robbery has a little mystery around it. This robbery has some inconsistencies. This robbery, them letting it portray and play out on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, is making people be detectives. And when they're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, they don't like it. They feel there's a lot of inconsistencies and some things that simply do not make sense. So let's talk about these things, and you let me know in the comments how you feel. One, there's a lot of people that kind of split down the middle. Some people believe that this was a true robbery. Others believe that it was something that was orchestrated and set up because PK needed money to pay off some debts, okay? So why are people questioning whether it's true or not? Well, it's partly because of PK and Dorit's actions on the aftermath of it. And it's also because, the police report and some other things just don't add up. So let's talk about these things, and then you're going to let me know how you feel. So thing number one, when it played out before it played out on the show, when it played out in real time, we heard about it, and allegedly it was 3 armed black men in hoodies that robbed her home. When we saw the actual footage from her home, the security footage, it just looked like 2 men. They were of a very light complexion, so I don't truly know their nationality. And from the video, but that doesn't mean they didn't have it. From the video, it didn't appear like they had any any weapons on them, okay? So they break the glass, and we get the explanation as to why such an expensive home, people were wondering at first, well, where's the security? I mean, you're worth all this money, and you have all of these expensive items in your home. Like, where's the security? So she explained to us that night she did not have the security on, because when PK is not home, and sometimes when the kids are when the kids wake up at night and they may go down the stairs or whatever the case may be, the alarm system may go off. And so she didn't want to have the system on for different reasons, right? But here's the thing where the fans are saying to themselves, all the more reason to really put on your alarm, if any time, is when you are there alone with your kids and your husband is in a whole nother country, state, or whatever the case may be. Now, when your husband's there to protect you, now listen, you have an alarm system, you should use it. But if your husband is there to protect you, I could see, hey, whatever, my hubby's here, the alarm's not on, he can, something happens, at least he's here with me. But knowing your husband is not there, your alarm should really be on. Now, the second thing that's giving people, they're putting the pieces together, and it seems like it's not making sense. When the ladies came over to see Dorit the next day to make sure she was okay, they all seemed to be buzzing the bell of like this big black gate. So it's like, well, if you got a buzz to get in the gate before you get to Dorit, then how is it that these robbers got in that gate? And it was the same gate on the security cameras that we saw the robbers leaving with the stuff that they took from her home. So, but the question is, how did they get in that gate in the first place? Did they scale the gate, jump over, and then when it was time to leave, did they just open the gate and walk out? Like, there's a whole lot of questions that we need, answers to. Like, what is really going on? Is this robbery real, or was it just a setup so that they can get money? The other thing that people is not sitting well with people is out of Dorit's own mouth, which seems to not make sense to anybody. She was petrified. She was afraid for her life. But she thought to herself, let me just tell these men, listen, guys, y'all been in here a long time now. So she had awareness of time. You're freaked out. And usually when you're freaked out, you don't know 1 minute from the next. You think 30 minutes has passed or 40 minutes has passed and maybe only 2 or 5 minutes have passed. But anyway, she says, y'all been here for a long time. Y'all better go. Y'all got enough stuff. And by the way, leave my phone at the gate on your way out. At what point did they take her phone? Was her phone beside the bed in the room that they came in? And when they came there, they was like, okay, there's your phone. And they grabbed her phone. This thing is a whole hot mess and it just doesn't add up. The other thing that we need to discuss here that the fans are saying is just not adding up with this robbery is the fact that the next day she goes to a meet and greet at Kyle's house and all the ladies kind of meet there with the exception of a couple, right? Sutton wasn't there and I think Crystal wasn't there. So the ladies meet there to kind of, console Dorit and just hear what happened like out of her own mouth. So the problem people are having is you just got robbed. You almost, could have lost your life. You were petrified. You praised God that, your kids, they didn't see your kids didn't wake up and nothing happened to your kids. But as scared as you was and still are, because you were sitting in Kyle's house and the dog barked and you freaked out and was like, Kyle, find out what's going on right now. You freaked out. So you're still traumatized to the point where the ladies are telling you to go for counseling, but yet you wasn't that traumatized because you felt comfortable leaving your little babies at home whose life was pretty much just spared and even yours. You left the little babies at home with the security and the assistant. Make that make sense? So that is why people are like, they're not, this robbery is not sitting well with the fans. It's a little off and people are looking at them, giving them a side eye. And then the last thing I want to say about this robbery that doesn't make sense, this particular episode 2 was kind of focused around Harry's 70th birthday. So happy birthday to Harry. I mean, he looks absolutely amazing. And that's Lisa Rinna's husband. So at the table, you won't leave well enough alone because people are saying too that part of maybe why they got robbed is because before season 12 started, the season 11 reunion, Dorit was there talking about, how all of her designer clothes are absolutely 100% authentic and she pays for everything. So they felt like that was an invitation to say, come rob me. So if that was an invitation to say, come rob me, now PK is sitting there pretty much at the 70th birthday party talking about, well, they didn't get my $60,000 watch collection or something like that. And then we have the new chick on the block, which I'm actually kind of liking her already because she's like uber rich. Okay, she's super rich. She's sitting there with about maybe $1 million worth of rings on her hands. It's like people are out there robbing people. I mean, we know you're part of the lifestyles of the rich and famous, but should we flaunt it or show it to that level and again invite people in to say, come rob me? Like, it's a mess. Now, this is where I go in and out about this robbery. The reason why I kind of felt like, in my mind, I'm like, who would make something so horrific like this up? In addition to that, I want to say shortly after Dorit and PK got robbed, remember that I forgot what he did, but his name was Clarence Avant, and his home got robbed, and unfortunately in that situation his wife was actually killed. So I was like, it seemed to be at that time that there was this rampant set of robberies going on around in that neighborhood. So it isn't far-fetched that the robbers could have hit Dorit and PK. And another thing that had people looking this robbery side-eye, she knew firsthand that her own circle, Kyle, had gotten robbed. So knowing that someone that lives in such a rich lifestyle like yourself had recently got robbed, you wouldn't definitely at that point say, you know what, hey, if my girlfriend lived right next door and she says the other day I got robbed, then I'm gonna make sure definitely at night, every night, I'm punching in and putting the code in it and putting my security on. I even have the sign in my front lawn that says ADT. Then, hopefully sometimes that scares people away. Some people, they have a sign in their doors saying dog or whatever, to let people know, like, don't mess with this house right here, because if you try to break in, you're going to be in for something a little special. So anyway, we got to keep an eye on this, but I'm going to tell you this. If they still are talking about this darn robbery in episode 3, Dorit and PK may be treading on thin ice and maybe treading down the wrong path, because people are really digging for the facts. Now, if this wasn't enough, I feel like Kyle is trying to be the queen of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The way that she is questioning Sutton about the way Sutton responded to this whole Dorit robbery it was just ridiculous. So listen, here's the thing. Do I think that when Sutton last week pretty much acted like, whatever problems she was going through was bigger than the Dorit situation? Now, we, the fans, are giving the robbery the side eye, but this is her circle of friends. So did it seem a little not nice when you're sitting there that this girl got robbed, an armed robbery in her home, which is very scary, and you're like, well, I got problems too? But this is where I give Sutton a pass. When Sutton said that, listen, I got an issue with, guns. I had my father, did that to himself with a weapon. I, as a young child, our home got robbed. And so sometimes people coping mechanisms are when tragic or horrific things or triggering things happen, they try to deflect, not by being mean, but to say, like, I can't even deal and think about Dorit and PK's armed robbery because it's going to bring up something in me and trigger something in me that, I perhaps couldn't deal with, still can't deal with, and don't want to think about, especially because as a young girl and even as an adult, like, I had too many tragedies in my life. And listen, some people never recover or are totally different when their own, when their parent maybe die of natural causes. So can you imagine, like, your parent took their life and now you're hearing about this stuff? Like, she just didn't want to deal with it. So I connected with what Sutton was saying, and I understood why she perhaps responded the way she responded about the Dorit situation, and I gave her a pass. But for whatever reason, Kyle kept digging. Kyle was like, is this the new you, or is this a part of you that I never knew about? Kyle was seeing too much in that situation, and I really feel like she is really trying to work this thing to become the queen, or to maybe be looked upon as the queen of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I'm not here for it. And I also feel like, for whatever reason, I think everybody seems to be, we're going to be like against Sutton, right? So at the 70th birthday party, one thing we got to give to Sutton is that Sutton will face her adversity, right? Sutton will face, like, her problems. She kind of doesn't run from it. So she knew that what she said about Lisa Rinna on Watch What Happens Live, when she accused Lisa and Harry of, going to a charity event on, by invite from her and not saying thank you. She knew it was a problem. She knew Rinna was pissed. Rinna is like a pit bull. Lisa Rinna, she is not going to stop. When you say something against her, she will not stop until she comes back for you and just plucks you off the block. So she brings in what a coincidence, right? That the new chick on the block, Diana, I got to just look at my nose, Jenkins, happens to know Elton John well, is highly involved with this charity, and she didn't kind of collaborate. It was a half collaboration that, Sutton, canceled her table, and Lisa Rinna and Harry had to get a ticket by some other means. But Sutton must have got wind that this was going to go down. Because she came with her actual receipt of paying for her table. That whole scene was just a hot mess in and of itself. And Erica Jane, she's petty Betty. And what I can't understand is Erica Jane was okay with accepting an apology from what's her name, Kyle's husband and Dorit's husband, but for whatever reason, Sutton is her arch enemy. It was just disgusting. The way that Erica operates, to me, is just still disgusting. But I gotta give her this though. She got herself back together again. She got half a glam scar, because we saw when she was getting ready for the party, her makeup artist was there. And she does look better this year than she did last year. Last year, she looked like what she was going through. This year, she's looking like Erica Jane again. But Erica, I think, is so petty. So Lisa Rinna, she's a pit bull. She wanted to come for Sutton and kind of debunk what Sutton said on Watch What Happens Live. And she came there trying to say that, Sutton was telling a lie. Sutton canceled her table. Sutton comes with the receipts. And finally, Lisa Rinna, in her kind of makeup. But this is what shocked me. Garcelle, when, what's her name? Sutton was saying to Lisa Rinna, listen, I adore you. Garcelle was like, now, do you really? Now, come on, Garcelle. You saw the tears in Sutton's eyes. It's like Sutton cannot catch a break on this show. Like, God bless her for continuing to be a part of the cast and just taking like a left, a right, to the back, to the side. Like, they just come for her and she just handles it like a champ. And, she carries on and she's oblivious and she apologizes and, life kind of goes on. So let's talk about this Diana Jenkins. Diana Jenkins is what I feel like the Real Housewives of any particular state or whatever was really about, right? Or any particular city was really about. Was really what it was supposed to be about. So when the franchise first started, they really said they was going to bring us behind the gates to see like just, the lifestyles of the rich and famous and how these housewives live. Well, I'm not quite sure. I know she divorced her ex-husband and he had tons of money. I'm not sure where she continues to get all of this money from, but that chick is just rich for days. I mean, she's just money. In all the rings and the Cartier and, her young boyfriend, the young, beautiful daughter and her 22-year-old gorgeous son. So it's going to be interesting to see how Diana fits into this whole situation. And you know what? I mean to back up for a second. Diana said she was out there with Kim Kardashian when Kim Kardashian unfortunately had got robbed out there in Paris. I think Diana said she had left like right the day before or something like that. So I'm liking Diana. I'm kind of I'm feeling her. And so Garcelle, is Garcelle. I'm neutral about Garcelle, but I will still say this. I'm still thinking Garcelle can dress better. I'm still thinking the wigs can be better, but that's me. And I'm not hating on Garcelle. I'm just thinking a stylist, like she could do better. Like she could do better. But anyway, guys, I think I kind of covered everything with that particular episode. I think Dorit and PK need to say, okay, enough Bravo. We don't want to talk about this robbery anymore. I hope this is not their entire season storyline, because if it is, I think they're going to get themselves into some big trouble, because many of the people are already seeing the inconsistencies and they're not here for it. So thanks, guys, for watching. Chat with me in the comments. What do you think about this robbery? Do you think it's some mystery around it and something just doesn't seem right? How are you feeling about Diana Jenkins and her fiance and the gorgeous little baby and her absolutely handsome 22-year-old son? The what is his name? The fiance. I mean, he's in the theater. He's in the music. it's interesting. I think we're going to have fun with them being an addition to this show. And what do you think about Kyle? I think she's just doing the most. And her questioning and interrogation of Sutton was just team too much. Thanks for watching, guys. Chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see y'all in the next video.